He hadn't seen his sister in over a year. Military life had taken him far from home, from the laughter of family dinners to the quiet comfort of his own room. But this time, he was coming home early, unexpectedly. He pictured the familiar sights, the squeaky wooden floor in the hallway, the aroma of his mom's cooking wafting from the kitchen. And yet, something in his gut told him that not everything would feel the same when he stepped through the front door. He was ready for hugs, jokes, and the ordinary chaos of home. But what he saw instead made him freeze in place. His sister, normally bubbly and full of energy, sat silently on the living room couch, her hands trembling as she fidgeted with a small notebook. She looked smaller somehow, and the sparkle in her eyes, something he had always taken for granted, was dimmer than he remembered. Subscribe prompt. Before we dive deeper, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy heartwarming stories about kindness. Drop a comment below sharing a moment when someone's small act of kindness touched your life. Welcome to Kindness Story Hub, where every story reminds us how powerful kindness can be. Main story begins. Jake had returned from deployment a few weeks earlier than planned. His unit had finished their mission ahead of schedule, and the thought of surprising his family had kept him awake on the flight home. He imagined the smiles, the laughter, the teasing from his younger sister, Emily. But now, standing in the doorway, he realized this was a different Emily than the one he remembered. "Hey, Em," he said softly, approaching her. She jumped slightly, like a deer startled in the woods, and looked up with wide, wary eyes. For a moment, she didn't speak. Then she forced a smile. "Hey, Jake, you're home early." Jake noticed the lines of worry etched across her forehead, the dark circles under her eyes, and the way she kept wringing her hands. Something was wrong, and he couldn't ignore it. "Em, what's going on?" he asked gently. She hesitated, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's nothing. Really. Just school stuff." Jake had heard that excuse before. Something about her tone didn't match her words. He decided to probe a little further. "Come on, you know you can tell me anything," he said. He sat beside her, careful to give her space but close enough to offer comfort. Emily finally sighed, her shoulders sagging as if a heavy weight had been lifted just by admitting it out loud. "It's Mom," she said. "She's been sick for months, but she won't go to the doctor. And I've been trying to handle everything at home while keeping up with school. I didn't want you to worry." Jake felt his chest tighten. He had expected to walk in and find the house just as he left it, laughing family, warm meals, small chaos, but this was heavier than he could have imagined. He realized that while he had been serving overseas, his little sister had been quietly carrying a burden she shouldn't have had to carry alone. Without a word, he hugged her. He could feel the tension in her body, the tears she had been holding back. Emily melted into the hug, and for a long moment, there were no words, just the comfort of being together again. Over the next few days, Jake watched closely. He noticed the small sacrifices Emily had been making: unfinished homework scattered on her desk, unpaid bills stacked on the counter, dishes left in the sink. She had been quietly doing everything she could to keep the household running, to make life a little easier for her struggling mom. One evening, Jake sat down with her at the kitchen table. "Em, you've been carrying all of this on your own?" She looked down, ashamed. "I didn't know what else to do. Mom keeps telling me it's fine, that I shouldn't worry. But I couldn't just watch her struggle." Jake felt a swell of pride mixed with guilt. Pride for the strength his sister had shown, and guilt that he hadn't been there to help. But he also felt a surge of determination. He couldn't fix everything, but he could do something. The next morning, Jake woke up early. He started with breakfast: scrambled eggs, toast, and orange juice. The smell of cooking wafted through the house, and Emily peeked into the kitchen, surprised. "I thought you'd never cook," she said, a small smile forming. "Guess I had some practice overseas," Jake joked. He smiled, but inside he was serious. He was going to lighten her load however he could. Over the next few days, Jake took on chores, helped with homework, and even drove Emily to school so she wouldn't have to worry about getting there on time. But the biggest change wasn't in the tasks themselves, it was in the moments of kindness they shared. One afternoon, Emily came home from school looking exhausted. She collapsed onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. Jake sat beside her and asked softly, "Rough day?" She nodded, her voice muffled. I can't do everything, Jake. I'm tired." Jake put an arm around her shoulders. You don't have to. You've been handling everything alone for too long. Let me help. Let's face it together. Emily sniffled and nodded, and for the first time in months, she allowed herself to feel relief rather than stress. That evening, they laughed together over dinner, talking about silly memories from their childhood and joking about the dog that used to steal socks. For a moment, the weight of responsibility lifted, replaced by the warmth of connection. A week later, they sat down with their mom to discuss her health. With Jake's support, Emily found the courage to insist that her mom see a doctor. Their mom, initially hesitant, finally agreed, and the relief on Emily's face was palpable. She didn't have to carry this alone anymore. Watching Emily finally relax, Jake realized something profound. Kindness isn't always about grand gestures. Sometimes, it's about showing up. It's about noticing the small struggles others hide and offering support without judgment. Emily had carried her burdens silently, and Jake's presence, his simple acts of help and love, had lightened the load in a way that nothing else could. Over the next few weeks, the house transformed. It wasn't just the chores that got done or the meals that were cooked. There was laughter again, spontaneous dance parties in the kitchen, and quiet evenings where they simply sat together, talking and sharing. Emily's confidence returned, and she started to let herself dream again, school projects, friendships, hobbies she had neglected. And through it all, Jake remained a steady presence, not taking over, but walking alongside her. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Emily turned to Jake. "You know," she said softly, "I didn't realize how much I needed you here. Not just physically, but emotionally. You remind me that I'm not alone." Jake smiled, his heart full. That's what family is for, Em. And sometimes, just being there for someone is the kindest thing you can do. As he looked at his sister, he understood that the most powerful acts of kindness often go unnoticed, hidden in the daily support, the quiet gestures, and the presence we offer when someone feels overwhelmed. It wasn't about heroics or big surprises, it was about showing up, listening, and caring. And that, he realized, could change lives. Emily went on to thrive that year, excelling in school and finding joy in the small moments. And every time she faced a challenge, she remembered her brother's kindness, the way he had returned early, noticed her struggles, and chosen to stand with her. It gave her strength, confidence, and hope that kindness, even in small doses, could make the heaviest burdens lighter. Jake, too, learned a lesson he would carry for the rest of his life. Kindness isn't always about saving the world, sometimes it's about noticing when someone close to you needs a little help and being there without hesitation. That simple act, the act of showing up, had changed his sister's life, and in the process, it changed his too. Closing and uplifting conclusion: as we leave this story, remember that kindness doesn't always come in grand gestures. Sometimes it's simply being present, noticing the small struggles, and offering your support when someone feels overwhelmed. A kind word, a helping hand, or even just listening can change a life in ways you may never fully see. So, take a moment today to reach out to someone who might need you. Notice their struggles, offer a helping hand, and be present. You never know, the smallest act of kindness might be exactly what someone has been waiting for, and as Jake discovered, showing up for someone can light up a life that's been in shadow, and in doing so, it can illuminate your own heart in ways you never imagined. End screen. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a little reminder that kindness changes everything. And remember, every small act counts.